The following broadcast is a Nighthawk Network presentation. What up, y'all? What's going on? This is Gametime Audible. I am one of your hosts, E-Buck, Eric Buckley, the Nighthawk. What's going on? We got my man with the Master Sports Plan, Hugh Lee, in the building. What's going on, Hugh?
What's going on, man? We got a lot of stuff to talk about, man.
So, a
I
pleasantry
packed up a
aside,
lot of
let's get
stuff.
into it, man. I'm going to start it
Yeah,
on off. Okay, you Yankee fan that you are, I know you're excited about the big news that came out this week. I want to talk about it right quick.
yeah, Giancarlo Stanton should be back in the starting lineup tomorrow, and I'm definitely looking forward to it. Surprisingly enough, they didn't really need him as much as I thought that they would. A lot of the guys who came over from via the trade deadline starting to step up, man, and then you could see it in that lineup yesterday. Benintendi starting to heat up, which I knew that eventually happened, and he'd get used to the team. But I'm not saying, and I'm not dismissing them, but I was just really surprised because when they discussed the Subway series, with the betting apps, of course, they were saying we ought to go in. And both times, man, I wasn't confident, man. And I actually went with the Mets and lost out on that money, because I didn't think that the Yankees had it in them, man. But to pull off both games in the way they did, too, and the style and fashion they did, as far as it was more or less defense, man. Because, yeah, you got the big hits from not John Carlo, Aaron Judge, which is at 48 home runs right now. But I just felt like it was pretty good to see what they did, because you could start to see the defense stepping up, Benintendi getting comfortable, the pitching that they got over the trade deadline starting to step up too. So yeah, it was actually pretty good to see, man. Hopefully this will turn around next season. And when I seen who they play, I'm not trying to underestimate that team, but I definitely feel like they should pull that game off as well, or however many games they play. But I believe they got the night off today, and then they start back up playing tomorrow. And then that's cool too, because that's an extra day for John Carlo to rest, and he'll be back in the lineup tomorrow. So I just want to see how the chemistry work too once he get implemented back in the lineup. Is he going to be the DH, or how they going to play it?
I mean, well, the key right now is I don't think you get a lot out of him these first few games. The reason why he important to y'all lineup is because he'll be hitting behind this guy. And part of the problem he's had since he's been out of the lineup is the fact that when he comes up to bat, there's no threat behind him. So he's starting to get a lot of pitches that are not as hittable as he would get if John Carlo was behind him in the lineup. That's why,
Correct.
again, that led to a lot of the strikeouts that he had. Because oftentimes with this guy Aaron Judge, you get feast or famine, where he'll get on a hot streak home run wise, but then turn around a week or two later and get on a strikeout streak that's just as bad. What's
Yeah,
good, fam? What's going on? What's going on? Thanks for checking us out.
we got
Put a
Coach.
couple new people on the podcast this week, so hopefully they'll pop in, see what's good. But yeah, as far as the pitching goes, it is starting to decline a little bit. Usually it's rock solid in those later innings with the bullpen in the last few years with the Yankees. I'm not seeing as much of that. They did have the setup man go out not too long ago as one of the injured people, and we still ain't got the closer like we're used to with the Yankees. I don't know what Chapman's status is at the moment, whether he's been playing or not. I haven't seen too much of that.
Not really.
I have some bad news. Can I come on? Uh oh. Let me see what's going on here. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, Coach V.
I'm trying to see. Go ahead. Let me see what's up.
Yeah, man. How do you feel about the Max Muncy extension he had, man? He got the 1 year, 13.5 million deal to stay with the Dodgers because they almost lost him last year. I thought Atlanta was going to be one of the sure teams that steal him away. It was a couple of teams that wanted to steal him away, man. He's a hell of a third baseman, but he's just a good all around player, and he's like the actual engine that could. He one of those guys that steps up every time and I think he does a good job, man, when he play, and he just seemed like he that spark plug that they need on that team sometimes when they need a good hit, or if they
Yeah,
need a run, or if they basically just need like something major to happen in their lineup. Usually, Max Muncy be one of those guys behind them, and surprisingly, not really none of the big names neither. So I feel like them getting him for another year would definitely help out because they're still in a win now situation and they have one of the best records if not the best record in the league. How much do you feel like that impact the Dodgers club right now?
I mean, Max Muncy is a key to. He is a key call to that team. He has been since he came up. So it's like certain people, they just kind of seem to grow them. They're good for about 2, 3 years, then they can move them on to wherever else they need to go. But certain people like your Bellingers and your Max Muncies and people on those lines, they are key components to the Dodgers continuing to dominate over in the West. Let me say what's up to my cousin. What's going on, fam? What's good, G? And yeah, that is Coach V that sent that. Choice is yours, sir. Would you like to have Coach V on to talk about it?
Yeah, most definitely, man. Definitely like for him to talk about what's going on. Hopefully everything's all right though.
All right, give me a second to send you the link there, Coach V. While I'm doing that, Hugh, I want to kind of get into some of the stories that ain't been talked about as much throughout the league, like the big comeback of my guy JV Justin Verlander. Kind of talk about his season for me.
What's surprising me too is I haven't really heard a lot neither because when we were looking at the Yankees like they were at the cream of the crop before they demise and when they start to fall off a cliff. Um, the team that kind of slowed them down and was their kryptonite was the Houston Astros, and it was because of just their good pitching, and they got some pretty good, savvy guys over there, man. A lot of veteran players who just sound players, man. But for the most part, Justin Verlander been holding it down, man, and they've been basically holding them in check on the basis, man, that pitching and the defense has been phenomenal over there. And I don't think that Verlander getting the credit he deserved because he's having another really solid year, man, an MVP
I
year.
would say it's even better than solid. I mean, remember he's coming off Tommy John surgery as an older player, damn near 40, and he is pitching as well as he has ever pitched in certain games. As far as I'm concerned, I mean, you still getting the high velocity. You still getting him ramping up in the fifth and sixth inning. You still getting him with the just that ability to pitch that very few people can bring to the league. You know, him and Max Scherzer actually in their middle and late 30s still dominating at times in terms of pitching. But
Just
okay,
a,
y'all, we are about to bring on a good friend to the show, Coach V. Oh, well, no, hold on. Yeah, I'm a little technical difficulty, so let me get it together, and we'll have a talk with him right quick. Another person I want to bring up of note before we have Coach V come on. You got to talk about your guy, Big Al, the machine,
machine.
Albert Pujols.
Yeah, man. He putting up video game numbers right now, E-Man, and we was talking about it, and we would like to see him reach 700, and a lot of people would like to see that. Definitely, who are baseball fans, and at one point he just was like at a standstill when he had like um, the hitters he had. I think he was at 687, and he was just kind of like non-existent, man. And then, like for the past 10 games, he's just been everywhere, man. For the most part, I've been putting a lot of his stuff on there and the stats and him and his hitting. Like every home run from now on until he reached that 700 on the Pure to the Game page, and just was really surprised, man, out of all the love that I've been getting on there, man, and the people who wanted to see that history, man. That's what I really think it's all about is them getting that history. But to make the long story short, in the past 10 games, he have 500 batting average, .552 on base percentage, 1.231 slugging percentage, 6 home runs, and 12 RBIs in the last 10 games he played.
And keep in mind, he had a streak similar to that last year when he played for the Dodgers. Sometimes when he get hot, he get really hot. I mean, hell, you can look at Miguel Cabrera. He back over 300 for the Tigers. Granted, he not showing no power numbers, but the consistent hitting is there, and I'm really surprised by that, considering that he's still kind of going through his injury situation. But okay, let's have Coach B come on now.
What's going on, family?
What's going on, Coach?
What's up, man? Hey,
Now,
look, right now,
when last we talked yesterday, you had some good news. Now you telling us you got some bad news.
man,
What's going on?
man, oh my God, did is here. So the school I've been coaching at for 2 years now, right?
Yeah, let
Yeah.
everybody know now.
Everybody know this, and everybody know how I love football. I don't just teach the game of football. I teach the game of life with football as well, and that's what my success through the South, everywhere I touch somebody, that it happens. You know what I'm saying?
Right. Keep in mind, Coach B, he's
So
been coaching for years now. He's coached in pro leagues. He's coached high school. He's coached
yes, I
college.
have.
So
Yes,
yeah,
I
he
have.
has a lot
Yes,
of
I have.
seniority in the
Yes, I
coaching game.
have. So the school that I've been coaching at for the past 2 years, last year they was like, Coach, put a resume in. We want you to be a part of staff. So I did not bull crapped it around, you know what I'm saying? So I put one in this past July. Everything went through. And I was accepted. I went to my first training today. Pictures, everything, you know what I'm saying? The faculty, they just gravitated to me, you know what I'm saying? Now
Okay, well,
having
it's
mind,
all good so far, Coach. What's the
yeah,
bad part, man?
now having in mind that the football players, they gravitate to me. Ever since I've been there, for the past 2 years now. So after the training, I get ready to, go to the field for practice. So I'm out there practicing and everything, getting because I coach DBs and special teams. I get a call from the superintendent and say that I can't be a part of the school system. Okay, which is fine.
Why
Then she
not?
dropped at me. Hold on. Then she dropped at me that I cannot no longer coach at the school. Man, that like drove a knife in my heart and
Okay,
in
so
my back.
let us get this straight. You announced
Yes,
yesterday that they made you part of the staff
yes,
full time,
yes, I
and now
did.
the very next day they just switched up on you.
Yes, yes. And
What
dude,
was that reason?
when I hold on, but this is what they based it on. Now have in mind the superintendent, the principal, the assistant principal, the dean, the faculty knew my background.
Yeah.
My background, I caught a case in 1986. That's what they used. That's what they used.
So
That
knowing that that was your background, now all of a sudden that's the issue.
yes. Now, what I'm feeling, and my girl she brung up, she said somebody on that coaching staff said something. Had to write a note that I shouldn't be with the
Right. I mean, because
team.
that's not something that you keep secret with folks. You
Yeah,
actually
but
had the
see,
badge of honor that you done came from where you came from, and now you
but
done
see,
moved up and you the man you became today. Yeah, go ahead,
but
coach.
see, have in mind, I don't hold back my past. I
Right.
use my past as a teaching stone to these young men, not to do what I did, because your past will follow you. You know what I'm saying? I teach that to my children as well. And when I got that call, man, it was like, so now as of now, I'm not coaching now.
Okay, so what's your next plan of action?
Um, I'm gonna put a petition out because that's not right, man. It's
Yeah.
not right because
I mean, because they talk about having people be rehabilitated and have a second chance and whatnot. I mean,
but
your
you don't
record
want
for years has been clean and free, and you got a lot of people out here in this coaching fraternity that will vouch for you. So I
yes,
think
yes.
add that along with that, you definitely should get some somewhere with the host Mary. You got anything to chime in with?
See, I don't know how to do the petition thing. A good friend of mine told me, say, look, coach, you should put a petition out, man, because this not right, man. I've been home 19 years with no felony. No felony. You know what I'm saying? I pay my taxes. I'm a citizen. All that, man. You know what I'm
Yeah,
saying?
I get it.
And when I talked to the superintendent, I told her, I say, it's okay about the school thing, but you're taking the one thing from me that I have passion for. I
Yeah,
don't just teach football. I teach life skills
yeah, I get
with
it.
the
Yeah,
football.
let you jump in here for a minute. What you got to say, you?
Just really devastated to hear this news, man. I definitely want to hear the brother talk about it because it's not right, man. We was just talking to him and how excited he was to actually,
Yeah,
get this opportunity, and for them to throw this in his face like that, man. Yeah, I feel like somebody was trying to sabotage this man as well, man. I think that one of the coaches secretly went behind his back and didn't want him on the team or didn't want him to be involved, and that's what happened.
I mean,
And
I
because
that's
believe
really
that too.
you've experienced this in the past, Coach B, where basically there's the head coach, but then some of the assistant coaches seem to have a better grasp of what's really going on with the team and the concept of where y'all should be going, as opposed to that head coach. So they start to get concerned for their job because more times than not, when the coach gets fired, usually the person they look toward is one of the higher people on the staff that everybody's comfortable with outside of him. So that might have been a proactive move to kind of stop that from happening ahead of time. Everybody
But
knows that your eventual plan is to become a head coach. So maybe there was some jealousy involved, perhaps. Who knows? But yeah,
I
I
don't know.
definitely yeah. I
I
mean,
don't know. I don't know, but it feels that way because just have in mind that when I got a part of the school, they knew my situation. They knew my background.
I mean, anybody that know you will know you. Like I said, you talk about it all the time.
Yeah, yeah, and for them to it just don't add up, man. You know what I'm saying? It just don't add up because the superintendent, assistant superintendent, the principal, the dean, the faculty knew, and they all gravitated to me. And they even told me, "Say you are a big asset to here." What
And
what
not sudden all that's gone.
what's so great is that the players gravitated to me. So when I told them that I no longer could coach with them, it was like, Coach, you're the only one that's been really teaching us, man, what we need to do. You the only one, man. It's like they literally started crying. I said, "Oh, don't do that. Don't do that. You got to prepare for a game Friday. The first game is Friday. Whether I'm there or not, you still got to prepare for this game. Whether how things is done, you still got to prepare for this game."
Yeah. Well, like I said, hopefully, Coach, that will work out. Whatever we can do to help you out in that endeavor, let us know. We'll see what we
Man,
can.
I'm finna put a petition out, man, because
Okay, well, if you get that information, send it to us, and we'll definitely put it in the network and see if somebody can help out. Have you been in contact with your guy in regards to that? You know who I'm talking about.
I
yeah,
want to chime in on that again too, Coach V, man. I just want to tell you for sure, man, keep your head up. And regardless of what happened, man, I know you probably don't want to hear this right now, but man, in my worst times in life, man, when I went through, trials and tribulations like that, man, I was told that door closed, another door might open, man. This might just
yeah.
be something that's like an opportunity that's coming for you, man, and you need to be, not in a position of coaching to get your bigger blessing, man. So yeah, man, I'm still gonna run for you if you want to do the petition, man. And we there for you. You got our support, but I believe the bigger and better things gonna happen for you, man, and I'm praying that it do.
Yeah, just
I
may just
believe
be
it
part of
is
the
too.
plan of the creator, and in the end, you're gonna get a much bigger blessing. You know, some
I believe
situations
that too.
where you doing
I
what you
believe that
love,
too.
you get paid good money to do it, and you don't even have to do your other job and all of that. I pray that that
But
is what it.
hey, but I'm gonna say this, and I've been saying it since I started coaching and teaching the game of football. It's not about the money. It's about saving lives.
Yeah.
That's what it's about, man. Getting these young brothers or whoever in the right direction. That's how I touch them.
Right.
I got one
Very
one
few
young
coaches
man.
out here.
When I
I speak
let me say this. Let me say
quickly.
this.
Yeah, go ahead.
Let me say this. When I went to my training today, I was helping this young lady out. She's like, "Coach, you don't remember me?" I was like, "Nah, I'm Kamari's mom, Mari." And when I number 7, she said, "Yeah." I said, "Well, how you doing?" She said, "He at Southern University." I'm like, "What?" I'm like, "What?" He at Southern. Now, have in mind, his grades was bold, and when I got
Uh-huh.
in his butt, he started getting his thing together. So I
Okay.
didn't know that until I found out today. So she called him and put me on the phone. And I said, "What's going on, young man?" He was like, "Who is this? Who?" I said, "You don't know who called you young man or gentleman?" He's like, "Coach Vince." I said, "Yeah, this me." He was so happy. I was like, "Man, I hear you at Southern." I say, "You playing ball?" He said, "Not this year. I'm not gonna play, but I'm gonna walk on next year." He said, "Well, Coach, thank you for everything you did for me, man. Even though I was a knucklehead," he didn't say knucklehead, but the
Mm,
word he said, I don't want to say it
yeah,
on
yeah,
your
yeah,
on the
yeah,
line.
yeah. You got you.
But thank you for helping me, man.
All right.
And
Well,
that
see,
made me feel
yeah, I mean
good, man.
that make up for all the bad. But yeah, let us get back to the show, Coach. But yeah, I'm real
Okay,
sorry to hear that happen, and we really hope that something good works out from it. Either whether
it
you
is,
get
man.
back to
It
hair
is.
or
It is.
you get even better situation.
No
And I'm
doubt,
sure
no doubt.
I'm sure she shares
All
that
right,
he shares that as well.
all right. One love, y'all. Thanks for letting me
All
come
right,
on.
Coach B, stay up, bro.
No doubt.
Bro.
Yeah, definitely sorry to hear that. Cause like I said, he was very excited about the news yesterday, and I was hoping that he at least chimed in right quick with us today to kind of let us know. But unfortunately, the news was bad just as quick. And it's hard when you try to do the right things and do your best to kind of look past what you've done in your past to move forward. And some people they just can't let you be. They judge you for that one red spot you may have on your record. They look at what you was as opposed to what you are.
Jobs do that a lot too, man. In 1 minute they'll be like, they want you to be honest, but when you do be honest, they'll get rid of you rather than you. Some people I've worked with before in the past, man. When I first started working, good guys, man. Some of the better people who I worked with in general was leaders, man. But their past will catch up with them, man. Especially if you lie or if you don't put all the information you're supposed to on there. They will say, "We're not going to hold against you if you did anything or if you had a checkered past." But when you do have a checkered past, that always come to light. That always come to the reason why you don't get the job or they don't keep you at a job. It's always an excuse. They'll say, "We ain't gonna hold it against you," but it's always held against you.
Mm-hmm. Now that being said, because we took that time with Coach B, that's when it's a little behind. But guess what, Hugh? I think we can pull it off. What we gonna do? First of all, do we got anything else to talk about in terms of the baseball right now?
Yeah, man. I want to talk about some more things with Albert too. Just really surprised in a lot of his stats too, and we talked about it.
I mean, well, you
Um,
gotta look at it. When all is said and done, we beyond him being a Hall of Famer. That argument was solved years ago.
yeah,
We
he
now
might be a.
looking at him as possibly one of the 10 best players ever. When you about to cite some of those stats you about to cite.
They still got an abstract on a lot of my boys' records too. I was surprised they put Alex Rodriguez in there because they said he was 4 more home runs to pass Rodriguez and
Right.
another 2 home runs after him to beat the record. And I'm like, damn, what about Barry Bonds and all these other dudes who was in that conversation, but you know them boys ain't gonna never be in it. It's like they erased them from history.
I
Like they
mean,
don't
at
even.
some point, the steroid people will get in the Hall of Fame. I think it's going to have to boil down to them making it on the old timers situation, as we get a lot of those older baseball writers that basically hold it against them no matter what, and start to get some of the younger writers involved in the voting process. I think that's when we'll finally look past some of that, and I think a lot of them will probably get in like one or two classes, or they'll finally come to a conclusion of, okay, we letting them in, but this is definitely an asterisk day. You know what I'm saying? But we'll get to that point when we come to it. I mean, the whole Pete Rose and all that coming to play. But yeah, just in terms of Alfred's overall hitting numbers in particular, there's definitely an argument you can make that he is one of the top 10 players ever, ever. And that's over 175 some odd years of baseball, man.
But when I seen that whole hookup when they said that he hit as far as one of the people who was a visitor about the most home runs from a visitor in Wrigley Field since like 1969, and him tying the record of 449 pitchers he faced and hit home runs off of. Man, that's crazy, man. It's
I mean,
like
that record is far more impressive than the other one. I was just surprised that the amount was not bigger for Wrigley Field. Wrigley is kind of a home run hitter's ballpark, and I really thought that would be a bigger amount than what it was. But the Cubs and the Cardinals played for years and years. It's just like when we played the Indians, you know what I'm saying? So of course he didn't spend a lot of quality time there at Wrigley, so that it makes sense from that standpoint. But then you got to remember there was those years he was with the Angels, he wasn't even with the Cardinals. So the fact that he still got that record made that even more impressive.
yeah, oh, absolutely. If he stayed with them, man, it'd have been
I
like
think if he had stayed with the Cardinals the whole time, I think he'd already be at 700.
yeah, you know what? Yeah, I agree, man. It's just sad the way they ended, and I believe it was because it wasn't no beef or they didn't have any issues or nothing. I think that when they paid Matt Halliday, man, it was too much money to keep him in Pujols when they paid Matt Halliday, and that's what happened. Like it was no hard feelings when he left. Because I thought for sure last year when the Angels released him, he was going to come back to St. Louis, but it was cool that the Dodgers got him though, because I definitely want to still see him get another championship. But it'll be sweet to me because everybody look at it like the Dodgers, the Yankees, the Mets,
But
Houston.
again,
You could even
St.
throw
Louis
in Atlanta.
always get disrespected, and when playoff time comes, who always seem to be there in the mix. And every
Cardinals
now and then
all
you look up, and there's St. Louis in the World Series. Ask the Tigers about that. Remember that year we were favored to win the World Series, and lo and behold, who ends up beating us? Those same
yeah.
Cardinals. So it's not like he don't have a ring already because he got one when he beat us. But that being said, this is supposed to be their farewell tour. I think it's really gonna be some thought considered that if he gets really close, like around 2, 3 home runs close, that he would have come on back for another season. I mean, granted, he'll be 43 at that point, but hey, if you can still match like you've been matching, because again, these
Yeah.
home runs ain't been no cheapies.
He been hitting bombs lately too, man.
Oh
Like
yeah,
you see that when he hit them, they already gone.
right. I mean, you see, it's a rarity that people have that type of power at those particular ages. Ask
No,
Cabrera, who basically then definitely declined in his power numbers. It's rare that you get a Albert Pujols or I can't think of his name. You know who I'm thinking about?
who Miguel?
No, not Miguel. Mr. DH himself. He'd have been everywhere. He'd have been in Baltimore. He'd have been in Minnesota. He'd have been in
Oh,
Seattle.
Cruz, Nelson Cruz.
Yeah, there we go. That's who I'm thinking of. Because,
Nelson
like I
Cruz.
said, there's been talk of him retiring, but I can't see it. Because he
No,
still, when he hit it, he hit it.
because
But
if
that
he
being said, here's what we're going to do, Hugh. We're going to take a quick commercial break. When we come back, we're going to pick up the pace a little bit to get all this in. Are you up for the challenge?
okay, I'm cool with that.
We need to keep this short and sweet because I really want to give you some ample time to get your guru session in today. So when we come back,
Okay.
y'all, real quick, like we're gonna talk some WNBA playoffs, some NBA, a couple stories coming out of golf, and then we're gonna move on to the football. So get ready, y'all. quick pace session right when we come back after these words from our sponsors here in the Nighthawk Network. What up, Big Meech? We going to you, bro, right now.
Hello, hello, hello. It's another glorious day, my T-Sippers, and you know what time it is. I hope you have all of your comforts together because it's time to dish tea. And you're dishing to dish darlings. With Big Meech.
Can't wait. It's time to dish tea with Big Meech. It's time to dish tea with Big Meech. It's time to dish tea with Big Meech. It's time to dish tea with Big Meech.
Darling.
Behind the Blue Curtain, Saturdays at 11 a.m. Eastern.
Viewer discretion is advised.
This is Get Off My Lawn Live. Join us as we talk trending topics, world and local issues, and the conversations that we need to talk about as people. Get Off My Lawn Live is a Nighthawk Network presentation. Have you been scrolling Facebook and looking for that quick sports fix? Want a quick peek of what's going on in the latest sports news? Check out Pure to the Game sports blog with the sports guru, QD Lee. He'll get you together. Check it out. Follow it on Facebook. Make sure you like it. All right, we are back. This is Gametime Audible. I am your boy E-Buck, Q the Sports Guru in the building. Make sure y'all checking out that Pure to the Game, the sports blog. Tell them why. Tell them why.
Man, I usually have most of the updated news that you need to know, and I usually be on anything with sports, whether it's football, basketball. I don't even really care. Most times, if it's something that's worth mentioning, I usually put it on that page and try to get it out there for the people who might not have, at the time to look at ESPN or some of those other platforms. Man, I just try to do my due diligence to make sure people get their sports fix. And just basically, most times if you go on there, that's where we have most of our topics. So you can chime in and, kind of get up to par with what we're talking about. A lot of that stuff be on the page already, and we just format it into the show.
Absolutely. So, yeah, definitely check it out. We're going to remind y'all again where to find it at the end of the show. And in the meanwhile, we are now going to keep it moving. We got the WNBA playoffs I want to talk about right quick, Q. And then we definitely got to talk about some of that information we found out about this young lady. This lady here. Let me show y'all right quick. Let's go. Well, I forgot to download that picture. My bad. Knowing that show do thing, but we'll talk about it. And then, of course, before we go on, we talking WNBA. We got to go here. Free Brittany Griner! The fuck? Deep breath. Hopefully that's something I want to keep saying every week. Please let that woman go. Come home. But anyway, we are talking now about the playoffs WNBA. The first round, I must admit, not all that impressed with you.
Too many blowouts. I'm definitely glad that they did the best of three series, made it a little more interesting. And the winner take all, I wasn't really too much feeling that because a team like Chicago Sky or one of the teams can be slipping that
The
first
whole
game.
NBA playoff thing, I really don't like. I don't like it. I didn't like it in WNBA. I don't like it in the NBA when they do it now.
You
But
can slip and don't have your best game. I didn't like that. So the best of three was good, but it's been pretty bad as far as it's been a lot of blowouts, man.
I mean, I think it's starting to boil down typically like it does in college, women's college basketball, where you got the big dogs and the big dogs is hunting and eating, and everybody else kind of getting where they fit in. I mean, keep in mind, Phoenix was kind of doomed from the start. Talking about that series between them and the Las Vegas Aces. Remember that is my
Yeah,
pick to win it all this year. But
they was getting
they were
by
missing
Vegas.
many components with that team. Keep in mind, you had Diana Taurasi out. You had Skylar Diggins basically leaving the team for personal reasons, whatever that's about. They got rid of Tina Charles. That would have been a very key component. They had a couple people get hurt, including Miss Petty in game 2. She basically messed up her Achilles, so who knows if she'll be back. Keep in mind she being one of the older players. And then of course I forgot about a couple of UConn kids that they had on that squad that didn't play at all this season due to injuries. I think it could have been a whole different season for the Mercury. Because remember, all that, if they would have had those people healthy, and then, of course, if they would have had one of their main players, I don't know, maybe Brittany Griner, then we might be talking about them moving on to the next round of the playoffs instead of the Aces. But that being said, the Aces, that game 2, it was like, let's finish you girls off right quick. And they
It was
dominated.
bad.
And bottom line, if they play like that throughout these playoffs, they will win. Period. It won't even be a contest. Now that being said, on the other side, you got Chicago Sky. Talk about that for a minute.
Man, Chicago Sky, man, they looking good, man. Yesterday when I was looking at the game, I was looking like it was actually kind of close at first before the halftime, and I said this might be a game, that boiled down to the last quarter. But then when they blew them out and they started cruising, man, it's like when it got to the point it got so bad when Candace Parker went up for a layup and the ball slipped and it still went in. And I said, ain't no way. I said, if it's like this game, man, then they can't miss anything. And that's what it came down to, man. They just couldn't miss anything. They've been playing
Right.
lights
I
out.
mean, based on what I saw, I can't even understand why Candace would consider retiring at this point. She is on the top of her game. She playing better now, I think, than when she first came in the league. She
Yeah,
is that good. And she got that team basically believing. Remember, that's her hometown, so they've been getting a lot bigger crowds there in Chicago to see her. And also, they are basically the best passing team in the WNBA. So it's definitely going to be between those two. And we can't forget to talk about the Seattle Storm right quick. Sue Bird, after
yeah.
21 seasons, she is still not empty. It's still something left in that tank. As she became the oldest player in WNBA history to record a double-double in the playoffs. What do you think about that, Hugh?
Man, they ain't playing no games. They said, man, to hell with that. We just trying to end this series. We ain't trying to look back. They trying to get back to dominance, man. I was definitely telling you last week. I believe it's going to be the Aces or either the Sky or I'm gonna either go with Sue Bird and them, man. It's going to be one of
I
them
mean,
teams
it's
to be.
definitely between one of those three teams in my mind. Keep in mind, they're finishing up the first round tonight. You got UConn versus the Dallas Wings. I
Mhm.
think they pretty evenly matched. So whichever one of those teams win, I don't think it matters. I think whoever they play in the next round, that's they out. So yeah, definitely looking forward to the second round and the finals where those are best of 5 series, and we definitely get some crack. Now, before we move on from WNBA, we got to talk about that kid, Liz Cambage, and some of the information that's coming out now in regards to why she left the Sparks when she did. It seems like some of them old demons that took place on other teams came into play. Bottom line, she was a bad teammate and often was complaining about not getting enough touches in the paint and had a bad way of telling you about yourself. So
It probably It might not be that bad after all. After what you told me, man, the money she making now that she ain't been in the WNBA. Hell, she making more money than she would have in the WNBA with her only.
I found out first information. What we're talking about is the fact that Liz Cambage is now focused more on her OnlyFans page, where she is one of the top celebrities on OnlyFans. She's making more money than even some of the porn stars on the site. According to her tax return, she made over $1.5 million on OnlyFans last year, and $1 million the year before. And they said primarily it's from her content, and actually most of her content is not of a sexual intercourse thing. A lot of it is her showing her legs and feet, getting thousands of dollars of tips from showing her naked legs and feet, Hugh.
You know, it's a bunch of pervs out there, unfortunately, in this world, man, and that's what they dig, you know. But hey, man, it's good that if and it's unfortunate because we all thought that she's a great player. She's a phenomenal player when she got her head right. But it just seems like, I don't know, her demons, like you said, man, I don't know what it is that her and I get along. But then, you know, so that's one thing that people look at and they feel like would have happened more in male basketball. But I can't imagine how things are.
Honestly, you and hearing some of the stories that they talked about in some of these articles I read, she kind of sounds like AB a little bit.
Oh yeah, oh my God. That's just what we need, another female AB, man. You know, that's yeah. But
you think she'll be back in the WNBA at some point?
Unfortunately, even with a bad attitude like that, especially if she acts like AB, she possibly might, because somebody will still take a chance on her. But I feel like her chances are running thin. I believe if she did what she did, like she leave her teammates hanging and kind of had that attitude to where she feel like I just don't want to be on the team no more, and she have an ugly divorce to where it's like she just leave and nothing else from it, and she just go about her way and they go their separate ways. I don't think that she'll be able to come back because, you know, that's what we look at too when it came to AB. He burned a lot of bridges when he left. You know, first he had the issues in Pittsburgh. He went to, you know, the Raiders had his issues. Then he went to the Patriots, and then now he was with the Bucks. I think a lot of people gonna really take that or sit up and have that be a risk on their team because he a ticking time bomb. And if she's like that, I'm not sure. They may give her a chance. I don't think two chances though, because yeah, man, she's a great player, but she's not the best. And I don't think that they'll miss her because, hey, man, the playoffs hasn't really been too bad without her. You know, it ain't like we're like, oh, man, what we going to do without Liz Cambage?
Yeah, I mean, in the end, it was definitely bad for the Sparks, but in terms of the overall playoffs, I don't think it put. I mean, I would definitely say again that this person, in terms of WNBA, is being missed far more than her presence in it. Because, like I said, I think we had a whole different playoff picture if Brittany Griner played this season. Because, like I said, I think that would resolve a lot of that issue between Tarazi and Skylar Diggins-Smith. Because, you know, in the end, when she is there, you know, Tarazi's still the GOAT, but the focal point of the offense would have been Brittany Griner. So, in terms of some of the issues they had, I think that would resolve a lot of that.
Agree.
Okay, so let's move on. We got to keep it pushing now. We're doing good. Let's go.
Coaching. How do you feel about Chicago Sky coach and general manager winning the executive of the year?
He really did a good job. Reason being because he picked up some quality people for that bench, in particular a young lady that he found in like an obscure league out in the European League. He brought her on. She thusly became the oldest rookie in the history of the WNBA, and she is in contention for Sixth Man of the Year. Even though for part of the season they actually had her start. She was a good defender. Just, you know, one of those players that was a spark plug. Forgive me for not knowing her name. Didn't have time to research that properly, but definitely that was one of the keys to why he won that. Not to mention just how he formulated that bench to go with what they already had, and the fact that he convinced Candace Parker to play this season again as well. All those things I felt contributed to that, and it was a good job done by him. So kudos.
Definitely a playoff run too, man. He pushed a hell of a playoff run with the acquisitions and the moves he made, and I feel like he definitely deserved it. And if it wasn't him, then it was going to probably be, the executive from the Aces because for where they
That's what
were
I'm.
last.
Like I said, I kind of would have went with him over the guy at the Sky because just the fact they brought on Becky Hammond to be head coach and helped them to step their game up to that next level. The fact
That
that they
did help.
actually got rid of Liz Campaign and still managed to be a better team because of it. That also came into play. And they definitely had the best starting five in the league right now by far. Well, I won't say
Yep.
by far because Seattle Storm starting five ain't that bad either with Sue Bird, young Stewie, and such. But yeah, like I said, I think these next two rounds will definitely be more interesting. I want to get into a little golf right quick before we move on. It was announced today by the PGA that many of their larger tournaments they are upping the prize money. I don't know if you are aware of that one, Hugh, but
Yes,
yeah,
I am.
the majors. I think in the majors, in fact, I think all the prize money is doubling in all of the majors for next year. And I think a lot of that comes from that conversation that Tiger Woods had with the major players last week. That was the solution they came to. Let's fight fire with fire, and the PGA is definitely on board. What do you think, Hugh?
Yeah, because that's what because at first when I heard it was from Tiger Woods, and I'm like, at first, what the hell they want to have this for? Are they trying to rally the troops, or I didn't really know what was going on behind the scenes. But now you see that him and McElroy launching the league, the TGL that's going to be a part of the PGA. So I really thought that was going to be cool to see, and I've seen like the video of the launch, and yeah, man, it's like I'm actually interested in seeing what they're going to do, and I want to know where the stakes going to be, how much money is going to be put in the pot, and because it's definitely letting you know that they're trying to send a message now to the Live League, and I just want to see where it all go. But I still feel
Right.
like, regardless of the fact,
Man, they're also going to have an E League, much like they have in the NFL and NBA eventually. I don't know if you had a chance to see the new version of the PGA Tour game coming out featuring Tiger Woods. It is beautifully crafted. I definitely see a scenario where they have people go online and play that like they do a lot in these Madden and 2K tournaments, and they start to play for some big prize money with that as well.
because I feel like any competition is good competition. So I was really glad to hear that, and I thought that just for them to do that and make something more innovative than just being in one division, it's good to bring something else out and launch it. And like you said, man, if they're gonna have like a D League as well, that help develop more players, and not only that, man, help them rise the stakes and make more money. Because that's what the Live is really killing them at right now. Because even the players who will be like nobodies, man, is making at least a million or close
I
to
mean,
it.
when you finish last in a live tournament, and depending on where that one is, you guaranteed at least 500,000. You can't beat that deal,
No,
and they
not
give
a,
you upfront money also. Hey, it is what it is. But
yep.
now let's switch gears yet again, y'all. We going NBA right quick. We got to talk about the latest in the whole drama saga that is KD. Go ahead, Hugh.
Yeah, man. The Nets general manager Steve Marks issued a statement basically saying that they reconciled their differences, and him and KD, squash whatever issues they had, and he's all in. Not only that, but then they told other people, like, man, don't even make no calls or even call us about Kyrie neither, man, because Kyrie's all in with us as well. And to put the icing on the cake, Ben Simmons is now 3-3, and he's playing, and he's getting ready to, try to do something this season. So I believe he's all in, trying to go into the new NBA season. So it's like
And
mostly
remember,
everybody.
they got Joe Ingles coming back. That was a key part they was missing last year. You got the bench strength with C.J. Warren and the other young man that they got in free agency. You don't forget about Steph's little brother, who could definitely be a key component on that team. You even got Blake coming back for another round of it. So it's not
Is,
like they got nothing to work with over there.
is Drummond still over there, or is he
That's
free
a good
agent?
question. I'm not sure. I'm not sure. I definitely would like to see them pick up Dwight Howard if he hasn't signed with anybody right now, because they're gonna
That'd
need
be
to do
great.
a big as they can get when they get to playing teams like Milwaukee. You know, you got to throw a lot of bodies at Giannis, kind of slow him down. Ain't no stopping him, but you at least want to slow him down and give him something to think about.
And my man's Dwight Howard might not be as sharp as a scorer as he was, but at the same time he got hella defense, man, because he's not the Orlando Magic Dwight Howard by far. But just to have
Dwight Howard left us years ago.
but a big body and a physical body who can play some good defense on Giannis, that'll help out, man. So yeah, that'll be a smart pickup, man. He good to put that out there, man.
Yep, I'm also surprised that nobody has picked up the veteran Lala's baby daddy.
Melo.
Nobody picked him up so far. I'm kind of surprised by that. Not even the Lakers. They haven't re-signed him.
Yeah, man, because he came in and he just
had a decent season last year.
He did. He came in, played his role, man, and he know his role now. He gonna come off the bench, give you maybe 12 points, maybe even more at some point. And if he can be serviceable, man, that's all they really need. They don't really need the old Carmelo.
Right.
They just need a serviceable Carmelo to help a team and give them some good bench points.
I mean, bottom line, if the owner didn't suck the way he did, and that didn't end it the way it did, I could definitely see a scenario where Carmelo would go back to the Knicks. But with Dolan still being the owner, I don't think there's any way in hell that happens.
No, not at all.
But yeah, I would definitely like to see him go to a team that could use a veteran presence, like our Detroit Pistons, for instance.
Yeah, because I don't know if he'll go to Detroit, man, because after what happened, when they could have had a chance to get him in the draft, I think he's still sour over that too. And he basically said when
very good point.
The Pistons was looking at him at one point, and he said, man, y'all should have drafted me if y'all wanted me. And now, I don't have any type of desire to go over there.
So. All about that. Shout out to the apple farmer known as Darko Milicic, wherever he may be in this world.
Yeah, man. And
the biggest bust of all time.
All time. Bronny James, man, how do you feel about what's going on with him and everybody actively trying to recruit him from Penny Hardaway to USC, Oregon, Ohio State, and even our Michigan?
Even University of Akron trying to recruit him. Here's the thing about it. We got something entirely different going on with Bronny. Keep in mind, we talking about much like his father, most of his games this season will probably end up on a TV screen, ESPNU or something like that. That's something we already see from a high school player. We already know he is must-see TV because his name is LeBron James Jr., a.k.a. Bron. But I think what makes it even more interesting is the fact that his younger brother will be playing with him this season as well. And a lot of people are saying that it's a Venus and Serena type situation where the younger brother gonna be even better than the older brother. So you definitely want to check out Bryce James this season.
Yeah, Bryce got a lot of size too.
Yeah, he had a nice little growth spurt over the summer. They say he a good 6'6" right now.
He damn near top. If you've seen him lately, you seen him like side by side with Bronny.
Yeah, Bronny about a good 6'3", 6'3.5". Yeah, Bryce is about 6'6". I can see him possibly be taller than his dad. I can see him get to maybe 6'10", 6'11". And if he had that type of skill set similar to his dad, look out, y'all. Look out. But that being said, I still question if he will even be going to college at all. I mean, he has options that most people don't have. Remember, when all is said and done, he could say tomorrow, I don't like basketball no more. And he's still good because his dad's a billionaire. So I really am interested to see how that plays out for him. If it's a scenario where it looks like, okay, son, I'm going to send you to this school because that's going to help us to negate what we need to do to where we get the desired effect, which as we all know, because it's been talked about every year for the last few years now, where LeBron ends up playing with his son the last year or two in the league. They even talk about now, if he have a couple more decent years, he may stay long enough to play with both of his sons in the NBA, which would be just outlandish, But yeah, I think they're going to play that game all season. And then remember, with the NILs, Bronny James could probably bake the bank in terms of that name, image, and likeness. He definitely will probably be the highest paid college person to date. You know who actually is on top of that list right now?
Who?
You actually should know this. We talked about it. This kid right here. She will be the highest paid person on rehab in the history of college. Okay. She has signed even another NIL deal. So her net worth as of the end of the season, the school year, is going to be put somewhere at about $5 million, making her the highest paid college athlete and making her higher paid than any of her future WNBA counterparts.
Because I thought at first you was gonna say a male, like Bryce Young or somebody. So yeah, that's pretty big for her to be still up in that range. And I thought it was definitely gonna be a college dude, but then you saying her and making like close to 5 million, that's amazing, man. That's why I still want to wonder what she's gonna do, man, coming up this next season. It still interests me.
Right. I mean, I'm wondering if she's going to actually travel with the team. That would be my assumption. But again, there's talk that it might be in her best interest to forego this season. And then since she should be eligible in her draft class because she'll be of the age to do so, not play another day at UConn and go straight to the WNBA. But also keep in mind that she is one of the COVID people as we deal with that for the next couple of years. Those people that were playing during the year of COVID where they couldn't play for whatever reason, they have been granted that extra year of eligibility. That's why you got people like Martinez at Nebraska transferring to another school and go play quarterback yet another season in college football. I'm sure we'll get to that in a minute. But yeah, she's eligible to play another 3 more seasons between her COVID year and now this year that's going to be a medical year. So I'm curious to see how she plays. I mean, bottom line, you're making more money in college than you is in the WNBA, you know?
Man, that's ridiculous. And it's sad too, man, because like I told you, I didn't really too much care about when my man's did, Draymond. I thought he was better than that, and I thought he'd be more supportive. Definitely surprised that he had that take that he had about, I paid them $100,000 if they shut the hell up and stop complaining. I thought that he'd be more of a leader or a spokesman for them, and just was really surprised to hear that. But yeah, man, maybe if things was better off in that league, they wouldn't have to worry about all that. But her having that type of money before even stepping foot in the WNBA, man, that's something that a lot of other people need to focus on their brand while they're in college to try to have a decent enough money to where they can be comfortable when they're going. That's why the NIL, I think, is so important right now. And you have people like the Evil Empire himself, Coach Saban, man, he doesn't like that. A lot of people want to nip that in the bud, but it's like I've been cheating these kids for so many years that it's time for them to get compensated for this.
Actually, when we get into that, I want to talk about Saban, but I also want to have a quick discussion about Dion as well, who spoke out about the NIL, because he's pretty much against it as well. But they have different reasons why, but we'll get into that. So that's pretty much our talk about the NBA, WNBA. We still, of course, are on trade watch to see what the Knicks and Utah Jazz work out with this whole Donovan Mitchell situation. I think the deal is going to happen at some point before the season. They just going to have to work out the particulars. Utah need to realize they're not about to get all these picks they want from New York, and New York got to realize they may have to give up a little better quality player in order to make this happen.
Yeah, because the deal that I seen, basically, it was put on the table was the Knicks was going to give away players like Evan Fournier and Obi Toppin. And then plus I had to mention they had 5 first rounders, but the 5 first rounders, it better be 2 protected Knick picks, because if it's not, because they were saying some of the picks wasn't protected. But it better be the Knicks picks that's protected, because if not, that deal could fall apart. But I still feel like if they're going to do that and at least 2 of those deals are protected, they're going to have to throw in some more players, man. Because
bottom line, I say you scrap sending them Fournier. That's a good one. But I think you want to come out of somebody like a RJ Barrett in this deal. I definitely don't see him playing well with Donovan Mitchell. So I think that would be the ideal person to trade instead. And you know, he
Yeah,
gives Utah some decent credibility at that point. Not a top line scorer, mind you, but he definitely probably get you 20 and 6.
because you had to be crazy to tell me. And then Evan Fournier is a good, serviceable player, but he's one of those guys that'll come off the bench and be serviceable. He's not one of those guys that's just going to come in and light it up every night. He'll have his days, but I still don't feel like he's a big enough of a threat for me to say, okay, yeah, we're going to make that deal. That's why the deal's still on a standstill, because they need to do better. And I feel you, man. RJ Barrett would be the best thing that they can throw at them right now with the 5 draft picks. I still feel like that's what we're doing and overcompensating with 5. But at least when you put RJ Barrett in, it just make the conversation sound more sweeter.
Right, but you already know with Danny Ainge being in charge of the Jazz, that's pretty much how he likes to operate. We want to get as
Yeah.
many draft picks as we can, and then when the time comes, pull the trigger on the big deal. Okay, let me get this person, that person. Here's all these draft picks to compensate. So we'll see how that goes. But that being said, we are out in now. It is time, y'all, for the part of the show that we call the Guru Football Session. A lot of football to talk about. So without further ado, let me do this here, Eve. Check it out. Check it out. We're going to put him in the big seat, put me over here on the side, and let him take on over. The floor is yours, sir. What we got?
Yeah, man. One thing I want to talk to you about, because I wasn't too comfortable, man. It was a few things that happened where some of the college kids are dying in football, man. But I think this one kind of hit close to home because when I was watching one of the preseason games, I found out the FIU star linebacker, brother of the Buffalo Bill tight end, Dalton Knox, Luke Knox, died, and they still don't even really have a cause to what happened to him. And the reason why that made me, or I reached out and kind of looked at it more because, like, yeah, I'm looking at the game and I'm looking at Buffalo and them as they got started and they were playing and they demolished the team that they played. I forgot who they played, but when I looked up, I said, man, what's going on? Because, they was all on the sidelines. You know how they had their hands locked and they were in a prayer. And that's when they said his little brother passed away. And that's going on a lot in college, man, in these facilities and stuff, man.
Sadly, it's going on a lot, period, Hugh, where a lot of our young people are dying way too soon. I mean, that really reminds me of what's going on here in the city right now. Like every week, there's at least one shooting where a kid got a hold of a gun and shot another kid, or 12 and 14-year-olds committing adult type crimes. And, the world is changing, definitely. I mean, we talked about it last night on the other show, how basically we have a different set of ideas and values. Our young people think and deal different. They're doing things that we wouldn't even consider as younger people. And like I said, again, we don't know the full story what's going on here, if it was some type of crime-related death or if it was just something that was wrong with him from a physical standpoint. We don't know. But, yeah, I always hate to see somebody, especially that age, you just beginning to get a full understanding of who you really are as a person. And now you're not here to finish up the journey. It hurts. You do.
Unfortunately, a lot of times it'd be because of game management too, and the coaches not managing them guys like they should. Let's just pray that it's not heat stroke or something of that nature, because that'll fall on coaching and them just basically mishandling them students, man.
Yep, and then we just seen that a lot over the last couple decades. One of those situations going, and now here come the lawsuits. Here comes the bad publicity. From that perspective, that's something that a smaller program in particular does not want, because depending on the size of the lawsuit, that might kill your football program altogether.
Speaking of the evil empire too, man, just looked at yesterday. Nick Saban signed an 8-year, 90. What'd you say?
Well, nobody talking about him. You always bring up the factory.
That $93.6 million basically him the highest paid coach right now in college football. But I thought that they did it because we talked about a little bit of it yesterday, that I believe that he's going to probably have a big office job, after his coaching career. But yeah, I was surprised that they made it now. But your scenario kind of was intriguing too, E. I want to know what your thoughts and what your takes was on him getting that contract.
Keep in mind, Alabama is one of those places in college football. that deals a little different than most. I mean, when you talk about, in the NBA, places like Utah, and the NFL, places like Green Bay, they don't go with how we view the status quo of the situation. Make no mistake, Nick Saban is a god in Alabama right now, okay? There's only one other coach that has anything close to that type of cachet in Alabama history, that being the Great Bear Bryant. So at this point, it's like no wrong he can do. I think he can actually have a couple seasons where they actually don't win, where they go 2-10, and he would be forgiven. One of the few coaches in America that could get away with that. He'll make one excuse and they'll be like, "Yeah, you right, coach. We know you know what you're doing." But that being said, every year or two, we go through this whole situation with Saban's contract because there's some big school getting the war chest together. Remember, years ago, it was Texas saying, "Okay, we're about to make you the highest paid coach in football." Suddenly, then he gets an extension. Remember, it was LSU that was trying to get him at one point. I think they wanted him to go to USC. There was talk of that a couple years back. We know he is the coach in college football, whether we want to like it or not. The factory works. His work speaks for itself. You look in the NFL, I think there's as many people in the NFL from Alabama as it is people in the WNBA from UConn. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So Oriental, their models work, okay? So yeah, you're going to pay him whatever you have to pay him to stay there. On the other hand, Saban is getting up there in years, man.
Yes.
In his late 60s. And I think, as I said, the master plan is to go ahead, let him coach a few more years, and then bump him up to the upper echelons of the school. In other words, make him the AD or possibly even the president of Alabama. And part of that salary goes towards that. And then, of course, there are a lot of people that say that it's a possibility he can go and get a Tom Brady deal where he leaves football coaching behind and hits the broadcast booth. And I think if that happens, Urban Meyer, who interesting enough got rehired over there at Fox, yeah, they're gonna go ahead and move Herb on over. And yeah, that's Coach Saban's seat, sir.
Definitely wanted to know what was up with that, man, because he's been kind of low key for a while. Surprised to hear that Irv got that job.
I mean, bottom line, when all is said and done, Hugh, the man knows college football, okay? So of course he got hired back for college football. I mean, you sit there, you listen to the broadcast, he is a football savant, okay? He can break down the game like very few people can. But we cannot ignore the fact that when we learn what the real Urban Meyer is like,
Yeah.
a-hole, douchebag coming back. But it appears that he's not quite that way in the broadcasting world. He's like that more so as a coach. All right, hold on. What up, though, Sis? Say, what up, though, Guru? What's going on, Pride? Welcome to the show. Appreciate you checking in as always.
Chime in on this too, and the Michigan, or I'm not going to even say Michigan, I'm going to say Big Ten in general. Big Ten just signed that crazy contract, man. It's $7 billion, and it could go up to $10 billion, man. They just signed a new historic deal that runs from 2023 all the way to 2030. And with that being said, we didn't like the fact of what happened with, ESPN, and we was like kind of disgusted with it. And my buddy Zach always,
you know, I wasn't you. I told you what it was, bro. It was all the money play. They got the big cards, man. They got all the big jokers right now.
I was just surprised though, because my boy was telling me something that, I was blind to the fact. He said, ESPN just want to be an SEC channel, nothing else. I said, no, I don't really see that, man, because I was saying you do have games with Michigan on there. Sure enough, man.
And a Pac-12 channel, as there was, no longer matters because Pac-12, we know what it's done. ACC only gets a certain audience because most of that is like around Florida and the coast. You want the big schools that are in the big market. And that's what the Big Ten brings to the table, especially now that they got the extra cards with USC and UCLA. Remember, this is not just a TV deal for football. It's for all of these sports.
Yeah.
And remember, most of the champions from most of these sports come from Big Ten or Pac-12 schools, especially when you talk about sports like swimming or lacrosse, volleyball. All of that is a part of this deal. And the real winner in this deal, Hugh, is all the middle schools, the Purdue, the Indianas, the Rutgers, the Nebraska. They fair share of this $1 billion pie.
And that's huge.
Have money that they shouldn't really have.
Because they got now CBS, Fox, NBC, NBC Universal Peacock, and then they had Big Ten already and FS1. So yeah, right. Even you said they didn't really need the big ESPN.
Remember, we were talking about the other day that some of the new people stepping their game up. The Amazons, the Apple TV, to try to get exclusive rights to some of these games.
They're gonna mess around and get an NFL game. Well, they got the actually they have the Thursday night game, but they're gonna put their hand in a lot more because we talked about it, man. Well, you got free baseball games now that's come from Apple. You got some that Peacock put their hand in on. People are trying to get their hand in the cookie jar to get some of these networks, some of that stuff out there,
and
man.
Remember, the other plan is to not just have the games in college on Saturday. They're gonna start having Friday games. You know, they already been having Tuesday and Wednesday games with like the MAC conference and Sky West, Mount West, and things like that. So everybody had their own time to shine. But remember that deal that the NFL did. Well, now we got NFL Plus. I see a scenario where we get an NCAA Plus somewhere down the line too to help compensate some of these costs that they paid out. All right, prior to saying, hold on.
Yo, I'm definitely gonna grab.
But the huge CM Punk versus John Moxley title unification match ended with a wild finish. Well, you know, you ain't telling me much because I don't care about that other league, but I'm sure Hugh was interested to hear that.
You know, I'm vice versa. I don't really mess with WWE, so yeah, I do that. I'm gonna check it out.
I mean, actually,
trash on there, but I'm glad Triple H took over because now I'll probably be looking in a little bit more now since it's
yeah, I mean, actually, Monday's episode of Raw wasn't bad, Hugh. I did at least catch that. Monday's episode of Raw wasn't that bad.
Yeah, I don't know, man. I'm gonna have to wait for a while. They gonna have to rebrand. They gonna have to get that Vince McMahon taste out of my mouth.
Understood.
And then Oregon, man, even trying to get a piece of that pie too, man. I think that they're going to be, and this is going to be a matter of time that they join the Big Ten. I think I wouldn't be surprised if next week, before we get back on the show, that Oregon will be signed with us too as well, because like you said, that
Pac-12 Oregon to make because of their ties with Nike and all of that. So that brings even more money to the conference, especially when we talking NIL deals and whatnot. You know, come to this Big Ten school, you're gonna have Nike gear, this and that. Nike's going to sponsor your Facebook and Instagram page. I can see it all setting up just like that. I'm also waiting to hear, because we're supposed to get that announcement soon, about the possibility of the Electronic Arts video game featuring college football for the first time in over a decade, and what that payment is going to be like in terms of NIL. I think that situation helps all people involved in NCAA football or basketball, or potentially even one of the other sports, in terms of everybody getting a little cut.
Yeah, that was much needed, man. I'm just definitely glad that we're finally starting to get a lot of good things going on in that case, man, especially with Oregon, man. If Oregon go over there, it'll be so much stuff going on as far as, man, just think about, because the Nike is already leading in college, but to get them over there with us in the Big Ten, man, I see new uniforms, man, and everything. It's just shining a light on what they can do. And I hope it happens soon because, I mean, who doesn't like Nike? Just to put them in there too.
Right. How much do you pay the players, son, says Pride? These universities are going to be getting something like an extra $34 million per year for the next 7 years. Actually, I think it work out to more than that, Pride. But yeah, and the thing is, that money's not going to the players per se. That's going into the university staff. But I think we do get to a point where when we start talking about NIL, the universities, they really want to keep their programs popping. They find a way to filter some of that money to some of the boosters, and the boosters in turn set up these NIL deals where the kids take advantage. There's been a couple people that have spoke out against NIL. You talked about saving doing it. Actually, Deion Sanders had something to say in regards to
That's
that. He said,
hard too.
they didn't open a big can of worms, NCAA, that they're gonna have a very hard time trying to put a lid on, because ain't nothing worse than an athlete 18, 19 years old with the type of money that tells you, why am I even in school right now? I'm a millionaire. I ain't got to go to class. I ain't got to listen to the coach. We got the transfer portal the way it is now. Oh, y'all tripping? I'm just gonna go to this school next year and get even more money.
And they leave them schools quick too, man. I remember at one point, you at least had to have a red shirt year. And you get over there early enough to where you can get and acclimate some of that playbook, man, and you can go over there around the summertime before they have, the game where they usually have their annual practice, where it'd be like, for instance, the blue against the white team, the Michigan games, like the annual games
Yeah,
when
the
they play.
spring game. Let's say basically
Yeah.
you play that spring game, you ain't get the type of play that you felt you should. You could right get in there and be like transfer portal, and by the time the new season starts, you on a new team.
Absolutely. It's crazy, man, because I never thought it would be that easy to get out of college, from one team to another, but they made it that way, man. A lot of guys are taking full advantage because they're trying to make that money. They trying to, boost up their draft stock. And I believe a lot of guys, benefited from that.
And they will continue to benefit, absolutely.
And I feel like it's good for the game with the transfer portal. I think a lot of people don't like that either, but they really hate the nil because the guy's getting paid. But then, like we said, look how much money they had from, the Fab Five and, the O'Bannons and all these players, not just in basketball.
And for the record, I'm gonna put it out there. They like these players weren't getting paid anything. That Fab Five documentary should kind of give you an understanding of how that was. Bottom line is, I still feel like players like Chris Webber and Reggie Bush was railroaded in these things. They were not the only players getting money out here.
Yeah, I didn't like that at all, man. How they got thrown under the bus.
Absolutely, a lot of golden handshakes was going on all throughout college basketball, football, baseball.
Yeah, I thought that was like just devastating, man, the way they try to treat that and try to turn their back on Bush and that, man, because he shouldn't have ever had to lose that Heisman Trophy that he deserved. Man, he earned that award, man.
Yeah, he was clearly the best player in the country that year. He actually probably should have had two Heisman too. So, I could say that year when him and Leinert played and he got the Heisman, I could say that was his Heisman too.
And it just basically made, college what it is, man. It made them the evil empire. And people was like, and I know a lot of people are upset now that the kids are getting paid, but if they got paid, a lot of that stuff wouldn't have been going on in the first place. Right. I remember, what was that team, the college team, TCU, Texas.
Texas Christian, yeah.
The Froghorns, man. Them dudes, man, was selling weed and doing stuff of that nature to basically
go back to the days of SMU and the Pony Express and all that, and where they basically got the death penalty for some of the funding that was going on down there.
And for them to look the naked eye now, and then now they get upset because those guys are making a living. It was one guy, funny as it really kind of sounds ghetto to me too for even saying this. I forgot his first name, but I believe that clown's first name is the coldest. I kid you not, I can't make this up. I'm gonna send you that article, man. His name is the coldest. The coldest, I swear. He have a deal with like a Central Air Unit company. Where that's where he gets his NIL money from. I thought it was clever because his name was the coldest. I said it was a little ghetto, but it was funny to me. But that NIL deal worked.
Yeah, that definitely is something that
I'm gonna send that to you, E. And I'm gonna send you the
I definitely want to see that.
commercial, the Central Air Unit commercial. But I
Right,
want to
right
move.
name at the right time. That's what that is.
I definitely want to move ahead, E. I know we, pressed on time. We kind of figured Deshaun Watson was gonna get like a longer sentence
Hold
than.
on, Brad. Stirring the pot as usual here. I won't claim to know what really happened with C. Webb and Bush, but traditionally they punish those that go against the grain and do what they are supposed to do. So it makes me wonder if they piss people off by coloring outside the lines per se. I would definitely say some of that went into play. Keep in mind, I can't put nobody out there officially. I can only go based on what I see and what I've known as a person that went to college and hung out with college athletes and kind of knew some of their personal business in regards to that. When they go on the Fab Five scenario and talk about how poor they wasn't that poor. Let's say it that way.
A lot of that was like pushing the limits. I think that they more or less didn't like the fact that
I
they
mean,
were
bottom
using.
line, they weren't making the type of money they should have been making when
Uh,
basically everybody was coming from other campuses to buy your gear. I will say that in regards to Fab Five in particular. But no, trust me, they wasn't starving over there. Not at all.
not, but now this elevates for them to get more money with the NIL deals, and I feel like it was a long time coming.
Yeah, we've been saying that for years that these athletes, well, they get paid with education. I don't want to hear that shit. That's bull crap. We all know. But yeah, you got any more college, or we going to the pros now, bro?
We're about to head into the pros now, E. We talked about this, and I'm surprised it didn't happen yet. We were already hearing the rumor that they was going to give your boy um, Lamar Jackson, when I'm speaking of the Ravens quarterback, more money than Kyler Murray, but he turned it down.
And like I said here, I think the reason why is because he wanted the Deshaun Watson deal, where basically he gets that money, but he gets it all fully guaranteed as Deshaun did, and it makes sense when you look at the overall numbers and whatnot. Yeah, Deshaun has been to a playoff game. I think he actually won that game, but in the end, Deshaun Watson has not been the MVP, and he definitely is not MVP in terms of his behavior in the league. So just
Oh,
for him being an outstanding citizen, he feels that not only should he get that type of deal, but he should get even more money. As G-Mon checking into the building, what's going on, G-Mon? Thanks for coming in. We appreciate you. Captain Kangaroo told him up front, I am only here to play ball, then off to the NBA. Yeah, we all know that LSU story. And basically it got to the point where it got to that point where halfway through the LSU season, he basically was yeah, when you put me in, I'm gonna play, but outside of that, I'm chilling. And them last few games, nah, my back hurt. I can't play no more.
he the bad guy in the whole situation too, E, because we've seen it before. We heard it from Arian Foster, man. One of his boys who was a good player, man, and football got injured. I forgot the kid's name, but they took his scholarship from him after that, man. And I don't even think he finished college. And I forgot the young guy's name, Marcus Lattimore, who was a beast in South Carolina. And he was one of the best running backs there was until he messed up his ACL. And he ended up going out his sophomore year, came back his senior year, and had even a better season in his senior year. Then it happened again. I said, damn, I don't think he's going to be able to handle no more, man. I was surprised Willis McGahee stayed in the league as long as he did, but I don't think Marcus Lattimore lasted that long. I think that he lasted maybe like 3-4 years. And if I'm
Yeah, I
saying it,
mean,
I think it
he
was
was
DeMar.
in San Francisco, if I remember right, right?
Hmm?
But yeah, it's so many of those stories, especially when you talk about running backs and wide receivers, where it looked like they was gonna be world changers, and it didn't pan out that way. Hopefully, that's not gonna be the case with Mr. Williams here in Detroit.
Yeah, man, I definitely want to talk about him. That was kind of smart too, the move that they made with him. because they basically put him on a non-football injury to let him get himself together. And they targeted a mid-season return with him because at first I was saying it might be 4 weeks, but then when you look at it, that's just 4 weeks of him just, trying to recover. Then, he need to get acclimated into the offense, man. He need to get into that football shape as well. So I can see him coming like mid-season or coming at the time when they need him. Like, you know what would be a good time for him? If not the game before, it could be the game after Thanksgiving. But I believe he'll be back around that time.
I definitely say if they are comfortable with him playing, he'll be back by game 7 or 8. Prior to saying, I mentioned Captain Kangaroo in regards to athlete students getting paid by scholarships. That ninja was like Smurf classes and grades. I'm here to play ball, yo. No, he wasn't just at LSU to play ball. He was down there skeeting too. Trust and believe. He got his skeet on down there. Y'all know what I'm talking about. But yeah, he had his fun while he was down there getting Americanized, so to speak.
In so many ways.
Like I said, I'm curious about how some of these roster moves are going to work, particularly when we got some of these people like Thibodeau, who's been injured, and you got your boy Wilson over there with the Jets. How they gonna play that situation out? Again, we starting to see what we see every preseason about this time. Just when we about to get done with camp and get ready for the regular season, here's people popping up with ACL injuries and knee injuries that's going to put them out for the season, torn rotator cuffs, etc., etc. I really think that we are going to get to a point very soon where the way preseason has been before will no longer be that way. I think we're going to end up with 2 preseason games. One of them is going to be a scenario where that week teams are going to do inter squad during practice, so that when that game comes, that second game, players will probably play that first series, and we won't see them no more till the season starts. And the fact that bothers me is because they are still going to charge admissions for those games. They're going to charge full price for those games. People are going to be paying $8, $10, $12 for beer and hot dogs and popcorn, and they basically going to get to watch people try to make the team as opposed to anything close to real football.
Yeah, that's sad, man, because that's what I want to talk about next too, Ian. You kind of brought it to that, and we had to cut some things out, unfortunately, but until, you know me, man, and I should have been ashamed to even say it myself. If it's not facts right now, and if it's not said or put in stone, we're not going to talk about it, and we'll discuss that when it happens, or if we get something officially. But I really think it's time for us to get rid of this preseason, because at the time when COVID happened and they didn't do a preseason at all, man, a lot of the veteran players was happy because they didn't have to up doing a lot of stuff, man. They did training camp and everything like that. That's where you usually get most of your playbook and everything from. It was just, I believe a lot of people like the preseason because of the joint practices. And you get to have some competition outside of
I think you actually do get some good value out of that. But remember now, we got a whole bunch more practicing that get done than we did in the past. Remember, way back in the day, you needed a long preseason because during the off season, players weren't playing at all. They weren't exercising. They had actually real full-time jobs because the NFL wasn't paying like that. Now you got players, they make real money. They make the type of money to where you can afford to be an NFL player 365, 24/7. You got all these OTAs and rookie camp and all of that. So by the time we get to this point in the season, everybody knows the basic playbook. All they got to learn is the little extra nuances and whatnot. So yeah, you're gonna see a lot of this in week 3. You're gonna see people basically pop up. Hi, oh yeah, my arm still works. I'll see y'all week 1. And a lot of people gonna go to these games and it's gonna be like, damn, why do we come? I know these jokers that they got here in the third quarter ain't but like 1 or 2 of them making the team. Why am I sitting here watching it?
Because that's what we did before we went to go and see preseason game. It was the Lions versus the Giants, and after the first half of that game, because I think it was like the fourth preseason game, getting ready to get into the regular season. And most of those guys play till like halftime, and then after halftime, we got the hell out of Dodge. And it wasn't like the Lions was doing anything anyway, so that made it easy for us to go home. But like you said, man, just imagine how much money they charging for those games. And like you said,
I mean, like I said, there being preseason games, I think everything about that game should be half off. Half off the admission, half off the food, half off the parking, the whole kit and caboodle. And if you are a season ticket holder, you should not be paying for preseason at all.
It's just stupid, man. I think that they should have it to where, like you said, if you get in, man, it shouldn't even be too expensive. If anything, $5, $10, $15 at the most if you want to be at the, front, by the 50-yard line, and in a very, front of action where you on the sideline, maybe like $50 to $100 or something. But as far as the food, I don't think it should be as much, and it should be as expensive, man. I just feel like it's a ripoff, definitely when you're not really playing a live action neither. Because
Right.
even I went to I wanted to go to a Thanksgiving game, man, and you'd be surprised how much the Thanksgiving games cost just for them to lose.
And see, here's another thing. I think they should adopt the example of the NBA, where when you do the preseason games, why they got to be at their home stadium? Perhaps go into one of the college stadiums and do one of the preseason games, so you give your fan base an opportunity to see the game where they wouldn't have. Like, say, for instance, if the Lions did a game at Michigan State or at University of Michigan, or even at Eastern or Western, to where those fans who couldn't afford to come an hour or 2 hours down there to Ford Field can check out some Lions game. You know what I'm saying? I mean, you still basically split the money between the college and the Lions, but you expose the game to people that would not have the regular exposure to it.
Because yeah, I was definitely surprised when we went to the game, even though the tickets were through my nephew's job. But I was just surprised too how much like the food was still like sky high, like the regular prices, like it was in full season, and
Right.
we didn't stay long because the game was so bad. But yeah, I
And
feel like
imagine, that's another thing, Hugh. Why is the football stadium food don't seem to be nowhere near as good as the baseball stadium food?
man, that's a good question, E man, because I've never had nothing from the baseball stadium that was bad.
Right, because that time we went, they had some awesome food there. I still waiting to try that damn the thing with the pulled pork and the mac and cheese.
Man, I wanted that so bad, man. That mac and cheese brisket, that sounds so good
Yeah,
right now.
I'm tempted to go just one more time this season just to get one of them.
Hey, I'm count me in, man. I roll with you.
If
But yeah,
not, you already know I more or less could make that while I'm talking junk. I think that's something I have to look into. Put my chef apron on it and hook up a little something, something. We'll talk about
that and the reason why I don't really like the preseason, man, especially it being so long, like you said, I want to talk about the injury headliners, but we'll probably say y'all have some good ideas, but we have to blame the sloppies as it is supplied and the demand that causes these situations.
He's absolutely right on that one. Like I said, I mean, granted, I feel like we have some of the worst ownership in the league when we talk about the Fords, but you can't be mad at what they accomplished. They put just enough of a team on the field where it's sold out every season, whether we win or lose. So they win because they making money. Remember, they bought that franchise for a little bit under 50 mil. That's $1 billion franchise now.
Yep. And plus all the other stuff they got, man. They got that little restaurant. Man, we definitely ain't just gonna talk about the Ford, company, you know what I'm saying, with the cars, man. It's like
Right.
they got so much money invested, and they're one of the oldest owners. So, they got
Absolutely.
pretty good.
Absolutely. And speaking of old people, allow me to shout out one of the Kansas City's native sons who died today, quarterback Lynn Dawson. former Super Bowl IV MVP, two-time Super Bowl participant, one of the few people in the NFL that was enshrined as both a player and a broadcaster, down in his late 80s. Definitely, he was, it seemed like every city had that one iconic person that you could point to and say, okay, yeah, that's like Mr. Kansas City, that's like Mr. So-and-so. For like us here, we would point to people like Barry Sanders or somebody along those lines. For Kansas City, it was definitely somebody like Lindoff. So rest in peace to him. And shout out to my peoples in Missouri as well. But yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. Yeah, because man, there was so many people got in. Well, it was a lot of people, but some of them ain't really big name people. But you got guys gonna be out, man, for like at least 4 weeks tops, man. Like the New York.
Yeah, remember here we got those situations going on, and remember, there's still the elephant in the room. It's definitely gonna happen, just like it had the last 2-3 seasons. Everybody gonna get the rolling along, playing well. Oh, look who tested positive for COVID. You out.
Yes, he did test positive for COVID too, just not so long ago. It was like a starting quarterback or something.
Yeah.
Test positive.
That was
and you remember
that tested positive.
And remember when people were upset because they said they felt like my man's Cam Newton got played when he got put out of New England. He was one of the guys who wasn't vaccinated, and I'm not saying you have to be vaccinated, but he broke the safety protocol when he went out and he went to, I think, go see some family members, and he's supposed to stay in the facility. They didn't even know he left. So when that happened, it was to the point where they was like he wasn't really doing as well, and it wasn't really too much separation between him and Mac Jones. So it got to the point where they looked at it like this guy don't want to follow rules, so we have to, let him walk. And it's all because of stuff like COVID, man. You just got to really be careful. And I know people probably don't like for us to talk about it or whatnot, but it's still important. It's going to play a factor into this season because at one point it got so bad with COVID, I couldn't even do a fantasy league because I didn't feel like it'd be fair. But yeah, we're going to get some knuckleheads here or there. And I'm not saying that a lot of times it can happen, but I just feel like
especially those who spoke out against being vaccinated. Lord forbid if you get Aaron Rodgers getting COVID again, because he still is not vaccinated. He is immunized or whatever you want to call it. And yeah, I agree with this here. For certain owners, that's what they play into. It's not about even winning for real. It's about making a profit. And I think the Lions organization is very much like that. That's why I refuse to buy any Lions people until they give me a product that's worthy of my money. Remember when the NFL would black out local games if your stadium wasn't a sellout? Not anymore, especially now with that NFL Plus. People are definitely going to take advantage of that for that very reason. That even if your team is the local team and ain't filled up, you'll still have the opportunity to watch that game or record it and go to a condensed version later on, which I very much like. I mean, much like that WNBA app I always tell you about, where they have the condensed versions of the games, or you can watch the old games. You can go back as far as 4-5 years even and watch like old playoff games and stuff. And they said NFL Plus is going to be set up like that as well.
It's going to be pretty good because it's got like 2 of them that you can use. It's like the packages. You're going to have like a $4.99 package, and you're going to have a $9.99 package. I believe the $4.99 package is going to consist of live out of market preseason games across devices, live local regular season postseason games on the phone and tablet, and live primetime regular season games. You get the audio 24/7 NFL Network on your phone and live library programming on demand. The $9.99 package is a little sweeter because you get the full replays across the device, ad-free, condensed game replays, like you were saying, ad-free, and the coach's film. I mean, I don't really too much care for that, but everything else sounds pretty good on there. So the condensed games will basically get me to get the $10 package regardless. But Even one, if I get it, I'm gonna still get it though. So that was a good perk to them putting that out there because I'm as big of a football fan as I am. One of them packages was gonna get bought.
Right. And I must admit, if you are here in Detroit and you have the opportunity to just go out and about, you might want to invest a little time if you want to catch your football a little different and going over there to the MGM brand. The setup they have for the sports book with all the TVs and whatnot, incredible, man. And they got some
Yeah,
decent
they serving that food over there too.
That's what we should actually kind of do one weekend. So you can sit there and watch all the games.
Because I definitely am gonna get that, man. I'm just waiting for the regular season, and man, we got this week, and after this week, it's gonna be kickoff pretty soon.
Well, basically that's the case in NFL. Remember, college football actually starts this weekend.
Stop playing with me, E.
Yeah, they got games this weekend.
Man, I'm gonna get me some groceries. I got to get some chips and dip, some wings. Yeah.
All flats.
So
You doing all flats?
I'm gonna have a lot to talk about too, man.
Yeah, like I said, as the Guru's football session goes deeper into the year, it's definitely gonna be a lot more to talk about on that end. But I know I ain't got much else to report. What about you, Hugh?
Man, I felt like we cut through pretty fast, man. I think if we did it a little earlier, it'd have been much faster, but no regrets. But yeah, man, basically all I want to cover. And like I said, man, stay tuned, pure to the game. I'm gonna definitely keep the news out there. Whatever happens, check and see what's going on with the update on my man Spider, Donovan Mitchell. And definitely should have a lot more news out there. Like I said, most times you can catch most of the topics that we talk about on Pure to the Game too, and that'll give you a good insight of it. But yeah, other than that, we just appreciate everybody who chimed in and the people who will be listening, later on YouTube. Thank you for all y'all love and support.
Absolutely. Again, I want to send a shout out to Dr. Marla Facey, who joined me last night to get off this long live. Thank you again for that. Definitely got to shout out our special guest this evening, Coach V. I really hope that works out for the best, whether it's you getting that job and retaining it or securing a better job where they will judge you on your merit, not on your past transgressions, because you definitely deserve that. You are a good guy, Coach V. We all say that about you. So hopefully that works. And like I said, we was looking forward to coming to check out one of your games. So hopefully we can work that out to where that happens. But that being said, we about to get up out of here. Of course, we will join you again next Wednesday about this time to talk sports and all manners thereof. Shout out to Pride who came through. Shout out to my cousin D Buck that came through. What up, cuz? And anybody else that will check this out on the rebroadcast, we appreciate you very much. Good looking out. And that being said, hold on, one last comment. Peace out, Pride. And you know what it is, Hugh. We track it on down here.
Peace.
Yep, throw the fingers up. We out.
The next Wednesday.
Gametime Audible is a Nighthawk Network presentation.